Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please explain humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada.
Maharaj, actually, CB examination is going on, just to complete it. Certainly it will be completed within 1 to 2 minutes.
Sorry?
Maharaj, CB examination has been conducted today. CB examination.
Oh.
Just now it will be completed.
Oh, just now it will be completed, huh?
Yes, Maharaj. I am requesting all the students to submit their CBAs because Maharaj has already joined.
Okay. So, I didn't know. Are the students who are in the class, are they also doing the exam?
Maharaj, they are just writing the examination and certainly they will submit their papers. Certainly, I had already intimated them all.
Okay. So we'll wait. Let them finish the exam.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you for your so much mercy to all of us. So, they will just complete, certainly.
Okay. This is Bahrain, is it? You're in Bahrain? You're in Bahrain or in Dubai?
Maharaj, this is Unit 12 CBI, closed book.
Where are you? Are you in Dubai or are you in Bahrain? Damodar.
Maharaj, I am in state of Odisha, Cuttack city.
Oh, you're in Cuttack, okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay.
Param Prabhu, you have submitted, Param Prabhu? Param Prabhu, you have submitted?
Yes, I have.
Yes, thank you very much. So, Prema Manjari Mataji, now time is over. Please submit your paper. Sumati Mataji also requested to do the same. Upanand Prabhu.
Prabhu, already I submitted.
Yes, Mataji, thank you very much. Sundari Prabhu. So, the devotees are requested to close their papers because time is now over and Maharaj is waiting. So, yes, we all are very fortunate today. Today is Nityananda Trayodasya, very auspicious, very significant day for all the devotees because Lord Nityananda is the merciful incarnation of the Lord. So he will give his mercy through His Holiness Vighna Vinasa Goswami Maharaj, who has been kind enough to present his classes to all of us. He has tremendous erudite scholarship in Vedic knowledge and he has been preaching more than 20 years. After being initiated from Srila Prabhupada in the year 1971, and after 1 year, exactly after 1 year, he was Brahminical initiated, and in the year 1924, he took sannyas initiation. And thereafter, he have been traveling throughout the whole globe to preach Krishna consciousness in order to please Srila Prabhupada, because that was Srila Prabhupada's strict message to him to ultimately please Lord Krishna. So Maharaj has been very kind enough to give her warmful lecturers presentations, because I have been hearing from Maharaj in Bhakti Vaibhav courses. Maharaj was very practical and very scientific in his approaches within the perspective of Srila Prabhupada's lessons. He teaches touching the heart and practical and very pragmatic approaches. So I must request Maharaj to distribute his knowledge to all of us, to intensify our Dharma Krishna consciousness, to stimulate our broken Krishna consciousness in a way so that we will advance in Krishna consciousness to serve Lord Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Now I'm handing it over. Maharaj, I have made a co-host. Please take care of the class.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes,
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pricharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome everyone. I have the opportunity, I have the good fortune to complete this section of this 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam with you. Right? We're on Canto 9. Studying Bhakti Vedanta, studying Srimad Bhagavatam at the level of Bhakti Vedanta. And so we're beginning chapter 13 this evening. Chapter 13 meaning the dynasty of Maharaj Nimi. How many people do we have in the class?
But actually we are 14 students. Some students due to Nityananda Trayodasi are engaged in temple worship. They will certainly join.
We'll join later.
So total, yes, Maharaj.
Okay. All right. So 14 are here now and more are coming, is it? Or 14?
Maharaj, 14 total for 15 students. So 3 students will join shortly.
Okay.
And,
all right. Okay, so we're on chapter number 13 here. And we're going to hear about the dynasty of Maharaj Nimi. So previous chapter, you know, this chapter is a continuation from the previous chapter. We're hearing the description about the dynasty of kings coming from the sun god. You will remember you heard about Lord Ramachandra and his dynasty. So Lord Ramachandra, of course, he's born in the line coming from the sun god. Lord Krishna, he appears in the dynasty from the moon. Different Kshatriya kings, right? One line is from the sun god, one is from the moon god. So this is going to be the final chapter on the dynasty from the sun god. We're hearing about the dynasty of Maharaj Nimi. Maharaj Nimi comes up also in the 11th canto. In the 11th canto, when you go on to the 11th canto, you hear about Maharaj Nimi meeting with the 9 Yogendras and how he questions the 9 Yogendras. 9 Yogendras are all sons of Rishabdev, and they're Mahabhagavat devotees traveling and preaching. So Maharaj Nimi, he is coming from Janika. Well, anyway, we'll hear more. Let's read a little bit here from this chapter. It begins, Sukadeva Goswami said, after beginning sacrifices, Maharaj Nimi, the son of Ikshvaku, requested the great sage Vasistha to take the post of chief priest. At that time, Vasistha replied, my dear Maharaj Nimi, I have already accepted the same post in a sacrifice begun by Lord Indra. Okay, so Maharaj Nimi, we know something about, and he's a son of Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku, we heard, he was given the knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna in the 4th chapter describes the history of the Bhagavad Gita. I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivishwan, and Vivishwan gave it to Manu, the father of mankind. Then Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. And in this way the saintly kings understood. So here Ikshvaku is mentioned. Maharaj Nimi had asked Vasistha, the great sage Vasistha, to be the priest, to be the chief priest. But he declines. Well, he says, well, I'll do it. He said, I'll do it, but right now I'm going to do something else. I've already taken the post to do a sacrifice by Lord Indra. So in text 2, he said, I'll come and do it after I finish the yagya for Indra. So please wait for me until then. So Maharaj Nimi didn't say anything. He just kept silent. So then Vasistha went to do the sacrifice for King Indra. Now, you should understand, Vasistha is a little bit materialistic here, it seems, because certainly going to do the sacrifice for Indra, there will be more reward than what he will get from doing the sacrifice on the earth planet. Even though he's doing it for Maharaj Nimi, Indra is the king of heaven and he's much more opulent. Heavenly planets are much more opulent than the earthly planet. So Vasistha is he doesn't want to miss this opportunity to do the yagya up in heaven for the pleasure of Indra, because he knows Indra will reward him nicely for that. Not Maharaj Nimi, he's a self-realized soul. He's not a materialistic king. He's actually an advanced soul. He's self-realized. And he considered the nature of the body, he considered life is flickering. So he thought, instead of waiting a long time for Vasistha, because he's going up to Indra Loka, so it will take a long time, time there, different from time here. So he will go there for a short time to do the yagya, but that will be a long time on this planet. So he thought, why should I wait for Vasistha? He thought, better I just do the sacrifice with some other priests. So Prabhupada's purport is there, and he talks about the nature of time. Time is very precious. You have to use it very carefully. You don't want to waste time. Time in the material world can end at any moment. So Maharaj Nimi, he knew this fact. And so, when we have something to do, we don't want to waste time. We want to do it so that we can go back home, back to Godhead. That is self-realization, making the best use of every moment of time. So Vashishta went to the heavenly planets and he did the yagya for Indra, and then he came back and then he found that his disciple, Maharaj Nimi, had disobeyed his instructions. So he's not happy, and Vashishta cursed him. And he said, may the material body of Nimi, who considers himself learned, immediately fall. So that was quite a heavy way to react, isn't it? And that Vashishta did like this, that he cursed him to die, and he should die immediately. It was certainly a heavy thing to do. He took it very seriously. Of course, Maharaj Nimi was like his disciple, so he was not pleased. Can you think of some other examples in the scriptures where the disciple disobeys the instructions of the Guru?
Bali Maharaj.
Yeah, that's the obvious one. That's one we know, Bali Maharaj. Yes, good. Who was his Guru?
Lord Brahma Maharaj.
Huh?
Chatur Kumara disobeyed Lord Brahma.
Who was the Guru of Bali Maharaj?
Sukracharya.
Sukracharya, yes. All right, yes. Okay, Prabhu, now what are you saying?
Chatur Kumara disobeyed the instruction of Lord Brahma.
What did Lord Brahma tell them?
To begin to produce the generation.
Yeah.
The Kumara decided to become Brahmachari.
Yes, good. Lord Brahma wanted procreation, he wanted to fill up the universe. So what did the four Kumaras say?
Why we should enter the householder life? Because it's not good. Better to remain like this.
What did they say? What did they want to do?
They want to remain as a Brahmachari, Maharaj.
Yes.
Not Nima.
Why did they want to remain as Brahmachari?
So that they are not entangled in the family life.
Why didn't they want to get entangled in family life? What did they want to do?
I don't remember, Maharaj.
Huh?
I don't remember about.
You don't remember what they wanted to do?
Just want to engage in spiritual life.
Yes, they want self-realization, right? They want to understand the Brahman. They want to go back to Godhead. Something like that, yes? Okay, good. Yes? Anybody else? Any other examples? A guru not following the order of the spiritual master? Anyone?
Maharaj, in the first canto, Krishna is telling Arjuna to kill Aswathama, and he gives his various reasons. But Arjuna doesn't kill Aswathama because ultimately he knew the heart of Krishna. Although he was giving his reasonings and words, he didn't want the Brahmana to be killed. Krishna didn't want Brahmana to be killed, but externally at least, he instructed Arjuna to kill Aswathama.
Well, okay. Thank you. Yeah, interesting one. Okay, we'll go ahead. So, Vishishta cursed Nimi. Where were we? Oh yeah, he said, may this material body of Nimi, who considers himself learned, immediately fall. So, Maharaj Nimi is cursed to death. So next verse, for unnecessarily cursing him when he had committed no offence, Maharaj Nimi counter-cursed his spiritual master. For the sake of getting contributions from the King of Heaven, he said, you have lost your religious intelligence. Therefore, I pronounce this curse. Your body also will fall. So cursing and counter-cursing. Vashishta curses Maharaj Nimi unnecessarily. So then Maharaj Nimi counter-curses him. Where have we seen this kind of thing going on any other place? Cursing and counter-cursing? Can you give some example of this from scripture?
Daksha Prajapati's yagna, Maharaj. Daksha Prajapati's yagna.
Yes, the yagya, Daksha's yagna. Right? What were the curses?
The followers of Shiva cursed Bhrigu Muni and others who were actually assisting the Daksha Prajapati yagna.
Yes.
We're not able to hear you.
Sundar Bro, please increase your volume, mic.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, Maharaj, the followers of Lord Shiva, Nandi and others, they cursed the Bhrigu Muni and they also counter-cursed the Lord Shiva's followers.
Yes, the followers of Bhrigu, they cursed Lord Shiva's followers. And Lord Shiva's followers, they cursed the followers of Bhrigu Muni. Do you remember the curses which were put on each of them? Somebody can help him? You remember? How did the followers of Lord Shiva curse Bhrigu Muni's people?
I think one of them. Oh yeah, much.
Yes?
Remember, they cursed them that you will forget all the knowledge.
No, not quite. As I remember, the followers of Bhrigu Muni were cursed by the followers of Lord Shiva that they would become practitioners of dull rituals which have no meaning. And the followers of Daksha, they cursed the followers of Shiva that they would be atheists. And Prabhupada said both curses are in effect today. Brahmanas are doing rituals, often rituals which are no meaning, and the followers of Lord Shiva are often atheists. Okay? Any other cursing and counter-cursing?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, there was one which was between Vishwamitra and Vashishta. One said you become a bird, the other said you become a duck. There is a counter curse.
Vishwamitra and who else?
Vashishta.
Vashishta. Oh, okay. Yeah, they had a lot of fighting, the two of them. Okay. So cursing and counter-cursing. So Maharaj Nimi counter-cursed his spiritual master. Because he said, you went to heaven to do the yagya for Indra just for the sake of getting contributions. You were just thinking about your material gain, how much you'll get. So he said, you have lost your religious intelligence. So this is always a danger in Brahminical culture. The Brahmanas become greedy to get material benefit from their different activities. They're thinking more of how much money they can make. They're not thinking about the devotional aspect, but they're simply thinking, how much will he pay me? So that's not good, of course, if you think like that. We don't want to have that kind of mentality when we're working, when we're doing services for the people. But it's often a danger. People simply want to profit. How much can I get? How much money will they give me? And we're attracted. If some rich person comes, then we're eager to do the yagya. And some poor person comes, then, oh no, they're poor, I don't want to. You don't want to take trouble and take time for them. Because you know they're poor, they don't have much money. And so we have that material consciousness, and that's really not the Brahminical culture. Brahminical culture means the mode of goodness. And we want to transcend even the mode of goodness and come to the level of pure goodness. So we have to be very careful to give up this kind of mentality. It's certainly not a kind of mood which we want to encourage within our movement. We don't want to be a business. In the material world, you do business, you think about how much profit, how much money I can make. But in Krishna consciousness, we simply want service to Krishna. We want service, that's the important thing. So Maharaj Nimi curses Vashishta, said, you have lost your religious intelligence. Therefore, I pronounce this curse, your body will also fall. So, Prabhupada then in the purport explains, a Brahmana should not be greedy. So Vashishta, he showed greed. And when Nimi did the curse with other priests, then Vashishta gets angry and he curses him unnecessarily. So, because he was infected by contaminated activities, so his judgment was reduced. So he was the guru of Maharaj Nimi, but because of his greed, he became fallen. Greed, right? Lust, anger, and greed. 3 gates leading to hell. Every sane person must give these things up because they lead to the degradation of the soul. The greatest entanglement. And the worst one is greed. Because anger, you can counteract anger by, you can speak something bad, you can chastise the people, and then you can give up the anger. But greed, there's no limit to it. You always want more and more and more. So, very dangerous. So Maharaj Nimi described he was expert in spiritual knowledge. He gave up his body. And Vashishta, he also gave up his body. Vashishta is the great-grandfather. So Vashishta gave up his body, but by the semen discharged by Mitra and Varuna, he was born again. Mitra and Varuna had discharged semen when they saw Urvasi, and they took advantage of this for Vashishta to take birth. So Urvasi is described to be the most beautiful prostitute of the heavenly kingdom. She's very dear to King Indra. Indra is very attached to having these beautiful women there with him. So she's one of them. And these two men, Mitra and Varuna, they were great saints. They tried to control, but still they lost their semen. But this semen was kept in a water pot, and from the water pot, Vashishta was born. So Vashishta took birth again, so they thought they would do the same with Maharaj Nimi. So when Maharaj Nimi gave up his body was preserved in fragrant substances. And then at the end of the Satra Yaja, the great saints and brahmanas requested all the demigods assembled there. They requested the demigods that they said, if you are satisfied with this sacrifice, and if you are actually able to do so, then bring back Maharaj Nimi back to life in this body. So the demigod said yes. But Maharaj Nimi said, no, I don't want to come back again. Please don't put me again in a material body. So, we see this taking place in previous ages, that sometimes people would die, but they can bring them back to life. Can you think of some examples? People who were dead, they came back to life?
Sukracharya Maharaj has a knowledge of Sanjivani to bring the Rakshasa back to die.
To bring who back to life?
The Rakshasa, for example, the Rakshasas, if they die, Sukracharya can give life also to them. And it is also mentioned how Bali Maharaj also one time died and given life by Sukracharya also.
Yes, right. Good. Yes, Sukracharya had died, but he was brought back to life. By who?
Bali Maharaj was died.
Oh, Bali Maharaj died. No, sir. He was brought back to life by Sukracharya. Yes. Bali died. Bali Maharaj died in the battle, but Sukracharya brought him back to life. Yes, right, good. Okay, so people could do these kind of things. So they brought Vashishta back to life. He got a body again, took birth. But Maharaj Nimi doesn't want to come back. Although the demigods, they're requesting, please bring him back. And they preserved his body in perfume and some perfume bombs. So Prabhupada explains the demigods, they can do these kinds of things. It's the demigods are powerful, and sometimes they can bring the dead body back to life. Just like Narada and Angira, they went to Maharaj Chitraketu. Maharaj Chitraketu had a son, and the son had died. But then they brought him back to life for some time. And the boy came back to life and spoke to Maharaj Chitraketu and his mother. He spoke to them, and then they left the body again, lay down and left the body. So they could do these kind of things. Prabhupada quotes the example about Savitri and Satyavan. Satyavan died. He was taken by Yamaraj. But Savitri, she had vowed she would go with her husband. And so when Yamaraj was taking away her husband, although he was dead, Savitri was going with her. And so Yamaraj was telling Savitri, it's okay, you don't need to go, you can go back. But Savitri kept following Yamaraj. And she was following and following. So finally Yamaraj said, I'll give you benediction, go back. You go back, I'll give you a benediction. So she said, okay, bless me that I will have a son, that I will have a child. And so Yamaraj said, okay, bless you, you'll have a child. So then she said, now you have to give me my husband back now. You cannot take my husband away. If I'm going to have a child, I have to have a husband. So Yamaraj was defeated and the husband was taken back. So this is the power of the demigods. Demigods can do these things. So Maharaj Nimi is explaining why he doesn't want to take a material body. Right? Why wouldn't you want to take a material body? What's wrong with a material body? One reason is given here. They said they fear having to give it up again. You take a material body, you can't live in it forever. At some point you're going to have to give it up. And when you give it up, then it's painful because you get attached to it. You don't want to give it up. You become attached to one particular body. You want to live there forever. You don't like to give it up. So that's one reason that it's difficult to give it up again. Any other reasons?
Maharaj, it's limiting and restricting in many ways the material body.
Restrictive, yes. Tell us some of the ways it's restrictive, though.
You have to kind of rejuvenate, you got to rest the body. Eat, for example, you got to feed it. You got to make sure you're regulated, you're healthy. You got to invest time to look after the body.
Okay. Yeah, it takes time, taking care of the body. It all takes time. The different things you have to do to take care of the body. You have to maintain it. And to maintain it, you have to earn it. You have to earn something. You have to make some livelihood to maintain yourself. Devotees, of course, they always just simply serve Krishna. So they're not afraid about anything. In the material world, people are afraid. They're afraid about taking birth. Just like when the baby's born, the baby cries. The baby doesn't come out blissful. The baby's crying because he understands, taking birth again. Again, I have to go through all the miseries of all birth, growing up, going to school, education, and then getting diseased and ultimately dying. So Nimi didn't want to get caught again in that trap. He didn't want to be put into the entanglement of having a material body. He wanted to go beyond birth and death. So Prabhupada quotes a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Janmai bhi mori icha yadi tor, bhakta grehi jani janma hai mora. Kita janme hayo yata tuadas. If you want me to take birth and accept a material body again, then kindly do me this favor. Allow me to take birth in the home of your servant, your devotee. I do not mind being born there, even as an insignificant creature, like an insect. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says the same thing. I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want beautiful women. I simply want birth after birth devotional service. So doesn't want birth in which he will forget Krishna. He wants a body in which he can remember Krishna. The yogis and the jnanis, they don't want a material body. But for a devotee, it's not a problem. A devotee can accept a material body or a spiritual body. Either way, can use it for Krishna's service. There's no anxiety for a devotee. Even if he has a material body, he can be a liberated soul. He just has to use the body carefully in Krishna's service. So a person in Krishna consciousness is a liberated person, even though he may have a material body. In a spiritual body, the devotee can become directly connected with Krishna. So, in the spiritual body, you go to the spiritual world, you can serve Krishna directly. But if you have a material body, then you can be liberated and engage in the same service of Krishna in Vaikuntha. Just like in Vaikuntha, you can do the same things here. And Prabhupada quotes that statement by Jiva Goswami. He said, Jivava Marava Sadhu. For the sadhu, for the holy person, it doesn't matter if he lives or if he dies. It's the same. If he's living, he will serve Krishna. And if he dies, he will go on and serve Krishna. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any difference to him. And for a devotee, there's no pain, pleasure, or material perfection. because devotee is transcendental to this material body. And Prabhupada writes about the mouse and the kitten, the cat in the jaws of the cat, and the kitten, or the rat in the jaws of the cat, and the kitten in the jaws of the cat, both in the same place. But the rat in the jaws of the cat, he knows the cat's going to kill it. But the kitten in the jaws of the cat, he's saved. So the same way a devotee has a material body, but it's not a problem for him, because devotee is just using his body for Krishna's service. So a devotee is not afraid of having a material body. But the jnanis and the yogis, the other people, they try to get rid of the body. Our only duty, our only thought though is to give service to Krishna. We don't have any other concern. Okay, going ahead, text number 10. Maharaj Nim is speaking more. I do not wish to accept a material body. Such a body is the source of all distress, lamentation and fear, everywhere in the universe, just as it is for a fish in the water, which lives always in anxiety because of fear of death. So Maharaj Nim is speaking like this, telling us about the nature of the body of a fish in the water. Said a fish is always in anxiety because of fear of death. The animals, they live in fear. The little insects, they live in fear. The birds are in fear of everyone. They will always go away, they'll run away, fly away. Swim away, the fish will swim away. Eating, sleeping, mating, and feeding. So that all the different species of life, they live in fear. There's a lot of fear in the material world. But for the devotee who is in Krishna consciousness, he sees Krishna everywhere, so there's no reason for him to fear. Prabhupada talks about how different places in the universe, they'll live different durations of life. Just like on the higher planets, the demigods can live a long time. Thousands of years even. Right? 1 day of Brahma. How long is 1 day of Brahma?
1.32 billion years.
Oh, okay. So very long time. 1 day, just 12 hours of Brahma. And that's way up at the top of the universe. But at the bottom of the universe is different. Bottom of the universe, they don't have a long life. And we're in Bhumandala. Bhumandala is in the middle of the universe. So we're also under the influence of time, the time energy, Krishna's time energy. So the fish is in the water, he's afraid, constant fear, they're always swimming back and forth, so much fear. So Prabhupada says we should take the opportunity to do some tapasya. And to do tapasya, we have to cultivate our Krishna consciousness. We have to cultivate the mood of service to Krishna. Otherwise we'll stay in the material world and we have to take a material body again. Just like the fish. So here, Sukadeva Goswami is giving the example about the fish. He said, Prabhupada writes, the fish is never free from anxiety about death. The big fish are always eager to eat the small fish. This is the law of material nature. Jivo jivasya jivanam. One living entity is food for another. Those which have hands, they'll eat those creatures which have no hands. And those which have no legs, they're the food for people who have legs. And the weak are eaten by the strong. So, one living being is food for another. Krishna creates the material world like that. One living entity is food for another. So there's always a struggle for existence. How can we get free from the struggle for existence? We have to become a devotee. We have to take shelter of Krishna. Otherwise, we will also be caught in the same problem, the same difficulties. We'll be traveling, moving up and down in the universe, suffering birth and death continually. And we may never become a devotee. And without becoming a devotee, we can never solve the problems of the material world. So the example of the fish is very instructive. The poor fish, always in anxiety, somebody's coming to eat me. Fish cannot go anywhere outside the water, has to remain in the water. Alright, so text 11 goes on. The demigods say, let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body. Let him live in a spiritual body. Let him be an associate of the Supreme Lord. Let him be manifest or unmanifest to common, materially embodied people. And this is his desire. He wants that. He doesn't want a material body. So Prabhupada said there are two kinds of spiritual bodies. One is the ghost body. For impious people, they've got the ghost body. And the other is the spiritual body. The ghost body is just a subtle body, no gross body. So that's given to people, that's a punishment. When people are just given a subtle body like that, then it's a punishment because they've no gross body. It means they cannot satisfy their senses. They're stuck in that body. And they try to possess someone else's body so they can satisfy their senses. So very difficult to give up. Very difficult to get a gross body again. If they're very sinful, they're punished by they're not given a physical body. They just have the subtle body. So subtle body has desires. It wants activity but can't do anything because it just has no form, has no physical form. So cannot take part in any activities. So that's people in ghostly bodies. They're in that condition. But the devotees, those who are pure devotees, like Maharaj Nimi, he gets a spiritual body. He doesn't have a subtle body, he doesn't have a gross body. He just has a spiritual body. So that is the ideal situation. That's what you want. So we're all endeavoring to get that kind of body. So Prabhupada talks about the Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means what? What's the meaning, Jivan Mukta?
That is Maharaj stated by Srila Rupa Goswami, Yahardase Haradase Karmana Manosagira Niklaso Vyavastasu Jivan Mukta Sauchate.
Yeah,
That means in this material world, all these living within a material environment, if he performs devotional activities, he is liberated from the clutches of material nature.
So what's the meaning of Jivan Mukta?
Being liberated from the material nature, three modes of material nature.
Right, a liberated soul, right?
Yes, Maharaj.
So a liberated soul, can he be seen with the material eyes? Can you see them with material eyes?
No, Maharaj, if someone is not liberated, how can he see a liberated person in the...
No, if someone's liberated, the liberated person, can we see a liberated person?
No, according to my understanding, no.
Well, you know, when Prabhupada was here, could we see Prabhupada? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, we saw Prabhupada, right? We saw Prabhupada. Did he have a body? Did he have a body?
No.
Huh?
Not now.
No, before, when he was on the planet.
Yes, Maharaj, he had body.
Yes.
Yeah, we could see him, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we could see it. So Prabhupada had a body, so you can see liberated souls. Liberated soul. They're using their body for the service of Krishna, but they're liberated. And they have a body, maybe you may say it's material, maybe material, but it's also spiritual because they're using it for Krishna's service. So Jivan Mukta can be seen, but sometimes he's not seen. Sometimes he's seen, sometimes he's not. It depends. Just like Narada Muni, if Narada Muni comes, we may not see him. because his body, you may not see him, his body is not manifest. If he wants to be seen, he can be seen. But if he doesn't want to reveal himself, he can come in a subtle form. We cannot see him. So Krishna is like that. If Krishna comes to this world, could people see him 5,000 years ago? Were people able to see Krishna? Huh?
Maharaj, all people could not see him.
Well, if they opened their eyes, could see him. Maybe they didn't know he was God. They didn't know he was God, but they could see him. They thought he's an ordinary person. They saw him, but they thought he's an ordinary person. They could not see that he's the Supreme Lord. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the difference. They could see him, but they could not recognize him as God. They thought, he's just an ordinary person. He's just like you and me. That's what they thought. Just like Prabhupada writes, people in his family, they think Prabhupada's an ordinary person. They don't think Prabhupada's a liberated soul. They think Prabhupada's just an ordinary person. And the people in Prabhupada's neighborhood where he was living, in his area in Calcutta, the people there who knew him, they thought, oh, he's just an ordinary person. He has a job, he has a business, he does this. They could not understand his transcendental nature. They could see him, but they could not properly appreciate him. They could not appreciate that he's a great devotee. They thought, he's just an ordinary person. He's just like us. So liberated souls, sometimes it's like that. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Abhajananti mamudha manushim tanamashrit. He said, the foolish mock at me, descending amongst them like a human being. They do not know my transcendental nature and supreme dominion over all that be. And Krishna also said, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrita. He said, I am not manifest to anyone and everyone. For them I am covered by my eternal creative power. So the common people, they cannot see Krishna. So Krishna and his form cannot be understood. How to understand Krishna? How can we see Krishna? What do we have to do?
Whereas Krishna can be seen within heart, not by eyes. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Bilochanana Santa Sadev Hrudesh Bilokent.
Yes,
So
good.
the Santas, saintly persons.
Yeah, right. We cannot see Krishna with the eyes. Right? We cannot see Krishna with our ordinary eyes. What do we need to do? We need to put the love on the eyes. When we develop love for Krishna, then we can see him. So seeing Krishna, you need to get Krishna's mercy. You want to see Krishna, you have to get the mercy of Krishna. So Maharaj Nimi is in that same position. He can be seen or he's not seen. He lived in his spiritual body. He became an associate of Krishna. So he's in a spiritual body. Some people could see him and others could not. He had that free will. He wasn't forced to reveal himself. So Maharaj Nimi didn't want to take birth again, but the sages, they kept his body. They had kept his body, and now they're going to churn it. Right? Did you read about, did we hear about anybody else like that? They died and they preserved the body. Did you hear about this happening some other place in our scriptures? Who else died and they kept his body, they wouldn't burn it, they kept it and they preserved it?
Maharaj, is it Bena, King Bena?
Yes.
John?
Yes. I think so. Yeah, Maharaj Venu, right? Maharaj Venu, he was a demon. Even as a young child, he was a demon. He would kill his friends. He'd play with the other children. He would kill them. They would play with him, but he would kill them. And people would say, oh, here comes cruel Venu. So he was, you know, his father initially wanted very much to have a son. But when he got this son, then he saw that, oh, it's so bad, it's so much trouble. His father left everything, went to live in the forest. And he took it as mercy. He thought, Krishna gave me a son who I cannot be attached to. If I had a good son, then I'd be attached to him. But Krishna gave me a son who's got so many bad qualities, I just want to get away from him and detach myself from him. So he took that as Krishna's mercy. Right? To get a son like that. So they preserved Venu's body. How did they curse him? How did he die? Maharaj Vena, how did he die?
By cursing of the Brahmanas.
Yes, by the cursing of the Brahmanas. He died from that. And they kept his body. Why did they keep his body? Because he was a descendant from Dhruva Maharaj. So they thought he's coming in the line from Dhruva Maharaj. So there must be some good qualities there. So we will keep his body. They thought we will keep his body. Because something good must be there, because he's coming in the line from Dhruva Maharaj. So, here, Vashishta dead, but Vashishta took birth again. Maharaj Nimi, he doesn't want to take birth again. But Maharaj Nimi is the king. If there's no king, then it's a problem. You need to have some leader. There has to be somebody in charge. If there's nobody in charge, nobody taking the responsibility, then it's not very good. Just like in our temples, if we don't have anybody in charge, then it's not, anything can happen. The pujaris will do the offerings all different times. They may even not do the offerings. So many things can go wrong. So it's important to have a government. And the government should be regulated. Here, they speak about the danger of an unregulated government. So you want to save the people from the unregulated government. That's why the sages churned Maharaj Nimi's body. And when they churned it, a son was born. So Prabhupada talks about the government being unsteady, unregulated. There's a danger of fear for the people. So it's important to have great sages to guide the people. We're meant to have people like Kshatriyas there who can protect the people. But today, now, there's no trained Kshatriya king. And because there's no Kshatriya king, then anybody can become in charge of the country. Anybody can become the leader without training. They just take advantage. Actually, we have brahmanas who know the scriptures, and they're meant to train people. They're meant to train people, educate people, so that they can take these leadership positions. But the problem is, just like here in this country, in India, the government changes. One year it will be this party, next year it will be another party. You've got different parties, different men in charge. So governments, they're always trying to protect their position. The governments want to see the citizens are happy. So in order to keep the people happy, they have to promise. They have to promise things like material enjoyment, sense gratification. So in the history, of course, there were good governments. We had nice leaders, Maharaj Parikshit, Maharaj Ambarish, Prahlad Maharaj, Maharaj Yudhisthira, Lord Ramachandra. These kind of people, they were all very good, very nice government. In some countries you get dictators. But you don't have people who are trained leaders. So if you don't have a good leadership, then the country suffers from scarcity. You have to have good leaders, and they can make arrangements to provide so that all the people will be properly provided for. Then the people will be happy. So you need a monarch. You need people to take control, to rule the people, and they should rule people according to the scriptures. So what can we do to help people to become happy? What is your suggestion? How can we make... What can we do to help people to become happy? To give them a better life in Krishna consciousness. What do we need to do? Any suggestions? Yes? What would you like to do? What do you think would be good for the people? What would be good to help us have trained leaders? How can we have arrange to have trained leaders?
Lord, Prabhu, please continue.
Hare Krishna, reverences. So I was thinking that, for example, in the Bhagavad Gita says that the people should gonna be happy with austerities, and also they say that the sage need to engage the people in different activities. So I think that a good leader needs to establish in a way, as far as possible nowadays, for example, the Varnashram system, giving work to everybody, and also see that not irreligious activities happen in their country.
Yes, you're right. I agree that. Go ahead.
Oh, and also, in a way, foment the religion in their countries. Even though it could be Hare Krishna, it could be Christian, Muslim, but in a way, try to expand the religion in their countries, and that way the people will be automatically more austere and worshipful of God.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. You see, people will take pleasure in austerity. I don't know about that. Do you actually think that's true?
Well, at least we should try.
What are these what austerities would you like to introduce?
It could be, for example, go to mosque, go to church. Automatically, if the government is fomenting the religious activities or the different religions, automatically the people will be attracted, or some part of the population will be attracted to the religion. So automatically the religion, in a way, is preaching like giving up sinful activities and taking out like religious, at least moral principles. So that's that kind of austerity I'm talking about, leaving aside sinful activities.
Okay. Of course, most countries in the world, they do have some standards for these things. You know, they do have some standards of morality. They try to educate people about these things. And of course, even we have also, child protection officers to protect the children from immorality.
For example, in here, I don't know in different countries, but here. Okay, excuse me.
Where are you? What country?
I'm from Argentina, but I'm living in Brazil.
Okay. Yeah, we see, like Devamrita Swami was talking today in class in Mayapur here. He was talking about the amount of pornography which is available. It's one of the biggest businesses. And, you know, young people are easily influenced, easily drawn into it from a very early age. So governments need to ban these things. They need to control these things. It's very wrong. And some countries do. Some countries are very effective in controlling these things, banning. Of course, we see like there used to be prohibition. They used to ban alcohol, but then now they allow it, and people just pay more taxes. And nowadays, of course, also I see like marijuana. It used to be banned. It used to be considered illegal, but now it's become legal, and everywhere people are having it. So it seems like the governments are forced into compromising to facilitate the sense gratification of the people. Because if the people don't get sense gratification, then they won't vote for the government.
And also, for example, Maharaj, in these countries, we are seeing that they're fomenting, like in a way, the irreligious activities, because in the school they're teaching about sex education, but I don't want to pollute the ether with this, but here is really, really degraded, the kind of philosophy and the kind of teachings that they teaching to the children. So in that way, these children are going to grow up and have this demoniac mentality, and also will be totally confused. Like, for example, it's legal, for example, to a, 10-year-old boy to have a change of sex, operations. So this is kind of really demoniac mentalities. And this comes from the governments. The governments are for example, making laws, supporting these things. So nowadays we see that they try to pollute the mentality of the children with all these things.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have to be very concerned about this, how to protect our children, what kind of environment to let them grow up in. Throughout the world, there's so much degradation and compromising going on, and there's no real standard of what is religion, what is good, what is bad. It varies so much. Okay, we'll stop here for a while, have a 10-minute break. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, Haribo. We're back. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. Okay, we're going through this chapter number 13. We're up to text number 13 here. So we heard about Maharaj Nimi, how he didn't want to take body again. So they took Nimi's body, they preserved his body, and they used it to produce a son from his body. They turned Nimi's material body and they got him to give birth to a son. A son was born from the father, without a mother. No mother involved. So a son was born. So that son, that was Maharaj Janaka. Janaka is one of the 12 Mahajans. Right? The 12 Mahajans. Swayambur Narada Shambhu Komar Kapilo Manu Pralado Janako Bhismo. Pralado Janaka Bhismo. Pralad Maharaj, Janaka Maharaj, Bhishma. So Maharaj Janaka was born. He was churned from the body of Maharaj Nimi. So because he was born in an unusual way, that's why he's called Janaka. And he was born from the dead body of his father. So he was known as Vaideha. And because he was born from the churning of his father's material body, he was known as Mithila. And because he constructed a city as King Mithila, the city was called Mithila. So this is Maharaj Janaka. We hear about Brahma, right? Brahma is the self-born. Brahma has no father. Rather, is no mother. He's born from the lotus flower. You know any other people born like that? Without a mother? It's very unusual.
Prithu Maharaj.
Prithu Maharaj? Yes. How was he born?
By the churning of the Venus body.
Yes. The churned Venus body, right? And first of all, they churned and some Nishadas came out. The Nishada, yes. And then second, they kept churning, and then they got Prithu Maharaj came out, right? Yeah, very good. So unusual way to take birth. Of course, we do things unusual today also. You have things like, cesarean operations. They you just cut the belly, bring the child out of the belly. They don't let the child take birth naturally. They just bring the child straight out. So that's unusual. And then you get test tube babies. So birth in an unusual way. So Maharaj Janakpur is there in Nepal, a town in Nepal, Janakpur. The palace is there. Of course, Maharaj Janak, he was a long time ago. I don't think the palace could be the original palace. But anyway, there's a beautiful building there. And they say Janakpur. So then, Sukadeva Goswami continues telling Maharaj Parikshit about the descendants. Yeah, from Mithila, meaning Janaka, came a son named Udavasu. And then so many different kings are mentioned. So many different kings are mentioned, from Maru, Madhu. And then in text 18 it said, from Rashvarona came a son named Shiradwaja, also called Janaka. So another Janaka. When Shiradwaja was ploughing a field, from the front of his plough appeared a daughter named Sita Devi, who later became the wife of Lord Ramachandra. Thus he was known as Shiradwaja. So this is the Janaka we know, better known, the father of Sita. And it was this Janaka who arranged that Swayamvar ceremony for Sita. They wanted to find a suitable husband for her. Janaka Maharaj was keeping the bow of Lord Shiva in his house. And the bow of Lord Shiva was so heavy it would take 100 men to move it. But one day Janaka Maharaj saw that Sita could pick up the bow herself. So he understood Sita was well, first of all, he found Sita. Sita, she was born from the earth. Right? Her name means one who comes from the earth. So she was born from the earth. When Maharaj Janaka, when this Shiradwaja was doing a ritual, he was ploughing the field. He was a king, but he was doing a ritual. They do like that in Thailand even. In Thailand today, they still have that ritual. Every year, the king will come and he'll plough. He'll come and hold the plough for a little while, and they have royal bulls, they pull the plough. And from that ploughing of the field, they can predict the harvest. They can predict what will be how the economy will be, and like that. So they still, in Thailand, they still do this kind of rituals. They have royal bulls, they have the gold plough, and the king will come and do the ritual. So many years ago in the past, in the time of Janaka, he was doing that, ploughing the field, and when he was ploughing the field, in the front of the plough, they found a little girl. So she was born from the earth. So Janaka Maharaj took the girl home as his daughter. Naturally, she became the daughter of Janaka Maharaj, and he saw she was very powerful. She could pick up the bow. So Janaka wants to find somebody equally powerful husband for his daughter. The man and woman should be equally matched. Then it's a good marriage. If they have equal qualities, then it's much easier for them to get along with each other. So he said, anyone wants to marry Sita, They have to be able to pick up this bow of Lord Shiva, and they should be able to string it. And so they invited many different kings to come. And Sita was very beautiful. Everybody wanted her for a wife. So many big men, so many big Kshatriyas came, but none of them could pick up the bow. And then it was Vishwamitra. He brought Lord Ramachandra there. And Lord Ramachandra came, and of course he picked up the bow, and he bent the bow, and he broke the bow. So he was given Sita for his wife. And Mother Sita, she is the goddess of fortune, who's come to take part in the pastimes. She's the eternal consort of Lord Rama. So Mother Sita, she was born from the earth. But she, of course, in Ramlila, it said Ravana came and he kidnapped Sita. Of course, he did not kidnap the real Sita, because the real Sita is very pure. She could never be touched by a demon like Ravana. But what happened was Ravana took a Maya Sita. So a Maya Sita was taken by Ravana. And then Lord Rama goes to Lanka, and of course he defeats Ravana and Ravana's army, and then he brings back Mother Sita. And then he builds a big fire, and he tells Mother Sita that she has to prove her chastity. She has to walk through the fire. So she entered into the fire, and the real Sita came out, carried by Agni, the fire god. The real Sita came out from the fire. Only the Maya Sita had been taken by Ravana. So Lord Rama had defeated Ravana, and then they went back to Ayodhya because they had been in exile for 14 years. Now the exile was up, they went back to Ayodhya, and Lord Rama became the king. But he was always worried about what people are saying about him. So he sent spies out to listen, to see what they're saying about him. And so he heard, one day, one of the spies had heard one barber who was fighting with his wife. And his wife had gone off with another man, and then she'd come back to her husband. But the barber was telling her, I don't want you back. He said, Ram may take his wife back, but I'm not taking you back. So the spy came and told Lord Rama what he'd heard. So when Lord Rama heard this, he thought that Mother Sita, there's some doubt about her. Although she had proved her chastity, he thought some people have some doubt about her. So he told Mother Sita that she should go to the ashram of Valmiki. And of course at this time Mother Sita was already pregnant. Anyway, Lakshman took her to the ashram of Valmiki, and there she delivered her 2 children, Love and Kush. And after she delivered the children, then she returned to the earth. The earth opened up and she entered into the earth. So Lord Ramachandra doesn't have a wife anymore. But he's the king. So he has to do yagyas. So whenever he would do yagya, he had the deity of Mother Sita sit by his side. Because Lord Ramachandra had made the vow, Ekapatni Vrat, only one wife. So he sat there with the Mother Sita in the form of the deity. He didn't take any other wife. So in this way, Lord Ramachandra ruled the world for what was it, 36,000 years? Something like that. Anyway, Lord Ramachandra ruled the world for a long time. So then more descendants are mentioned, the names of different kings. One is mentioned here, this text number 2021. It's mentioned that the son of Kritadwaja was expert in spiritual knowledge, and the son of Mitadwaja was expert in Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. So you see different sons, different men, they had different, they each had their special qualifications. One is expert in spiritual knowledge. It means he must have studied a lot of books and acquired a lot of spiritual knowledge. And the other one was expert in Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. So there's many different rituals, different ceremonies for different times of the day, for different functions throughout the year. So this man, this king was expert in performing all these different ceremonies. Here's text number 24. The son of Satyarat was Upaguru, and the son of Upaguru was Upagupta, who was a partial expansion of the fire god. So, one of the demigods had come. Partial expansion of the fire god had come. And then text 27 says, Sukadeva Goswami says, my dear King Parikshit, all the kings of the dynasty of Mithila were completely in knowledge of their spiritual identity. Therefore, even though staying at home, they were liberated from the duality of material existence. So this is describing about the greatness of these kings of Mithila. Right? Remember, coming from the kings of Mithila, coming from Janaka. And Janaka is coming from the body of Maharaj Nimi. And they were completely in knowledge of their spiritual identity. Therefore, even though staying at home, they were liberated from the duality of material existence. So they stayed at home. That's an important point. One doesn't need to go out of the house. If you're fortunate, you can be Krishna conscious even at home. And of course we have the example of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He was a great acharya in our line in the disciplic succession. Prabhupada said he's the pioneer of preaching Krishna consciousness in the Western world. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written a number of songs, and in one of the songs he writes about the glories of devotional service. It's from his book of poems called Sharanagati, meaning surrender. And he writes about each of the 6 different items of surrender. There are 6 principles of surrender. First of all, to accept everything favorable for devotional service. And then secondly, is to reject everything which is not favorable for devotional service. The third thing is to know that only Krishna can maintain us. And the fourth principle is to know that only Krishna can protect us. And then fifth, we should have no desire other than Krishna's desire. And finally, we should always be humble. So those are the 6 items of surrender. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote poems, beautiful songs about each of these 6 items. So one of them about accepting everything favorable for devotional service, he describes there, Ye dina grehe bhajana deke grehete golokabaya. He says, when I'm worshipping my deity at home, he said, my home becomes like Goloka, the spiritual world. This is the power of worshipping the deity. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a grihasta. The grihastas are expected to have a deity at home, worship the deity. Of course, Prabhupada liked devotees to come to the temple. That's better. If you can come to the temple and worship the deity in the temple. But if you're not living near the temple, then you need to have a deity at home. And you should worship the deity at home. So here it's described about these kings. They were staying at home, but they were liberated from the duality of material existence. Prabhupada's purport, he talks about the material world as Dvaita, or duality. Material world. Duality is there. And Prabhupada quotes this very well-known verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anchalila. Dvaite Bhadra Bhadra Gyan Sab Manodharm E Bala E Manda E Sabram. Right? In the world of duality, that is to say, in the material world, so-called goodness and badness are both the same. Right? Goodness and badness are both the same. E bala, e manda. This is good, this is bad. E sabram, this is all illusion. Dvaita abhadragyan sab manodharm. This oneness, this different, this is one, this is different, this kind of knowledge, this is all the business of the mind, manodharm, the business of the mind, speculation. So, in this world, to distinguish between good and bad, happiness and distress, in other words, the dualities of the material world, we want to distinguish between these dualities. It's meaningless because they're both mental concoctions, manodharma. If we say this is good, that's what we think. If we say this is bad, again, that's what we think. It's a business of the mind. We're thinking, I like this, I don't like that. It's a very relative understanding. So everything here is miserable and troublesome. Material world, it's all miserable, it's all trouble. From the highest to the lowest, all are places of misery. So to create an artificial situation and pretend it to be full of happiness, that is illusion. To create some situation and pretend, oh, I'm very happy here, this is very nice. That's just illusion. Material world. How long you can be happy here for? It's impossible. So it's just illusion. So liberated persons, they're above the influence of these things. They're not affected by the three modes. They're not affected by the dualities of the world. Instead, they remain Krishna conscious. They tolerate the happiness and the distress. We have to learn this tolerance, right? That's very important. We know in Lord Chaitanya's Shikshastikam, Lord Chaitanya talks about tolerance. Right? What does Lord Chaitanya say about tolerance? Who knows? Yeah, translation?
Yes, tolerate everything like a tree and think yourself lower than a blade of grass. Give respect to others and engage in the devotional service by chanting the holy name.
Okay. So one should tolerate like the tree. How does a tree tolerate? What does a tree tolerate? Somebody else, let somebody else answer. Some other person there to answer?
Mahaprabhu, Prabhu.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Daruttama Maharaj. A tree is basically epitome of tolerance. A tree basically gives shelter to a lot of birds. A tree basically gives a lot of fruit. And then when it gives a lot of shade also, and it basically conserves the soil also. Despite of all this, that children throw stones at the tree so that the fruit can fall down. Then the tree is cut for its wood, despite of the fact it is giving so much of shade and so much of fruits, it is cut for its tree. And whether it is hot, cold or raining, the tree keeps on standing in one place. And it is just a source of giving everything. It's all the time it is giving oxygen and taking carbon dioxide. So it is a source of giving and giving. And in return it does not take anything. So hence tree is a source of tolerance.
That's very good. Thank you very much. Very nice. Yes, so we're encouraged to tolerate. We remain Krishna conscious by tolerating the dualities, the happiness and the distress. So then Prabhupada quotes 214 about the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. Prabhupada gives some examples about happiness and distress and how we have to tolerate in the Bhagavad Gita in his purport. Anybody know? From the Bhagavad Gita 214, what examples does Prabhupada give? Or can you give some examples where you tolerate happiness and distress? Just like the winter and summer seasons. Yes? We want everybody to participate here. Some people not speaking, haven't heard from them yet. They're in the class.
Raj, I think Prabhupada talks about a woman, a lady, goes into the kitchen when it's very hot in the summer.
Yes, yes, right.
And then, there's also...
she goes into the kitchen When? In the summer?
In the summer.
Yeah. So? What does she do in the winter?
She also goes into the kitchen in the winter as well. Whereas going in the kitchen in the winter is preferable because it's so cold, so then one wants to be close to the heat. But in the summer, it's not the best thing. But she still has to do her duties, her responsibilities.
Yes.
She still has her responsibilities.
Yes, right. Have to tolerate, right? She has to feed her family. The mother has to feed the family. She has children, husband. She has to go and cook for them. And then, other example Prabhupada gives about bathing. We bathe in the summer, the water is nice and cool, refreshing. It's a pleasure to take bath. But in the winter, when the water's cold, then it's not so pleasant. So, are you still going to take bath in the winter? Yeah, we should do. You have to take bath. It's important for puja. You can't do any puja if you've not bathed, you're not clean. So, very important, tolerance. Devotees have to cultivate tolerance. This is only a matter of controlling the senses, right? The mind. What appears to be pleasure or appears to be pain. In the mind we're thinking, oh, this is very... It's the same water in the summer and in the winter. But in the summer it appears to be pleasing, and in the winter it appears to be pain. And the same with the kitchen, it's the same place the woman's going to cook. But in the summer it appears to be painful, in the winter it's pleasure. It's a mind. We think of these things in this way. So we have to learn to overcome the mind.
Whereas water is the same, but due to season changes, this water become hotter during the summertime, and during winter time it's become cool. But water is same. Due to season changes, it's become just changing pleasure and miseries. That's it.
Yes, right. That's it. So we have to learn to tolerate these things without being disturbed. So liberated souls, they're on the transcendental platform. So they don't worry about happiness and distress. They don't think about it like that because they're not listening to their mind. They're on the transcendental platform. They're spiritual. They're conscious of their spiritual body. So they know there's seasons. They know things. They're in touch with the material body. So the happiness and the distress is very temporary. So Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, Gatasun agatasumscha nanusochanti panditaha. Right? You know this verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Asochan and vasochascham pragnavadamsa dasas Gatasun agatasumscha nanusochanti panditaha. Well, speak. Yes, you know the verse.
The wise person is not affected by or is not bewildered when the living entities come and go in different bodies.
Yes, yes. Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna, while speaking learned words, O Arjuna, You are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So Lord Krishna is chastising Arjuna in the very beginning of his teaching practically. Krishna takes the position of a teacher, so that his duty is not to flatter, but to chastise Arjuna and to bring him out of his sentimentality and to understand the real nature of the body and the soul. And so Prabhupada says, body's dead from the very beginning, just a lump of matter, has no feelings of happiness and distress. But the soul in the body is in the bodily concept of life. Because the soul's in the bodily concept of life, so he suffers happiness and distress. But it's temporary. It comes and it goes. So the kings who are in the dynasty, they were all liberated persons, unaffected by the so-called happiness and distress of this world. Right? So that it's important that the kings, they have to be advanced devotees. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gave this knowledge to the kings. Evam param, how does it go? Evam par, imam rajasyo.
Evam parampara praptam imam rajasya vidu.
Sakalini.
Sakaranya mehta yoga nasta parantapaha.
Imam vivishvate yogam proktavam aham avyayam vivishwan manave praho manor ikshvakabe bravit. Right? And then, evam parampara praptam imam rajashayo vidu sakalini hemata yoga nashta parantapa. Imam rajashayo vidu. So the knowledge was passed through the line of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in this way. But in course of time, the knowledge was lost. Right? In the course of time, the knowledge was, there was a need to re-establish the disciplic succession again. Therefore, Lord Krishna came. So the kings, they have that duty. Why do we give that responsibility to the kings? Why do we need leaders? Anybody can say?
Maharaj, king should be qualified. He should take the training from the qualified teacher for ruling the country, to bring citizen proper guideline, to make them happy. We have seen in Lord Ramchandra's first time how he was qualified and he ruled his kingdom. And all citizens were very happy and peaceful.
Yes, but yeah, we spoke about the need to have qualified leaders, but why is it so important? The leader has to be qualified.
So if leader is not qualified, how he will be able to rule the country, his kingdom? He should be properly trained through proper teacher, proper guideline. Then he will be able to rule his country, his kingdom. There should be proper leader. So now these days there is no proper leader. They are blind leader. They have no proper Vedic scripture knowledge. That's why citizen is not happy. They are becoming Rogers. They are busy on their party politics. That's it. Nothing else. These days, in this age of Kali, we are seeing.
Well, it varies. You know, some places, some countries, they train the leaders. The people who are the leaders of the country, they're very trained. They train them to be like Hiranyakashipu. You know, Hiranyakashipu, he wanted Prahlad trained, right, to be a leader. But he trained in the Gurukula for the demons, you know. So they're trained demons. They're not trained in the religious principles. They're trained in the asuric, materialistic principles. But my point is, you see, the leaders, they have to set the example for the country. Right? What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? About examples? Yes. Yad yada chariti shreshtas tad tad evetarajana sayad pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Very important. The leaders have to show an example, and they have to pass that on to others, to the citizens. They're the kings. The king is the representative of God on the planet, right? The king is representative of God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes, chapter 10, among men, I am the monarch. So the king is the representative of God on earth. But he has to teach God-conscious principles as well. He has to show the right example for the citizens. Very important. Everybody will respect the king, but the king has to teach the people. He has to show them the right example. Just like when Prithu Maharaj became the king. And then he did sacrifice. And he did everything the people could see how he was living, what he was doing. So that people all had faith in him. So like that, when the kings, they have that responsibility. That they have to see over the country and make sure everything is done properly. And they have to show the example. Whatever standards they set by their example, then people will follow their example. So that's why Krishna gave the knowledge to the saintly kings, the Rajarshis. And the Rajarshis, they're meant to pass on that knowledge to their citizens. No, this is the system of disciplic succession, giving spiritual knowledge. So similar in our ISKCON society also is important. You know, all the leaders, they have to have the highest standard of behavior. They have to show the right example. Prabhupada writes in his purport, he said, any leader, is there any head of the family, any teacher, any brahmana, any person who has any position like that, of authority or whatever, he must show the example to others by his own behavior, and then people will follow, people will be impressed. They want to follow. So here you have Maharaj Nimi, right? He didn't want to take birth again, he didn't want to come back to the material world. So was that good? What do you think? Maharaj Nimi didn't want to come back to the material world. He avoided taking birth in the material world. Was that the right thing to do? Is there anything wrong in that? I'd like to hear from you. Yes? Very difficult if you people are not going to participate in the class. You know, I have to hear from you. You have to respond. Just sit there, don't say anything. I don't know what you understand or what you're thinking.
Maharaj, according to my understanding, just I am hearing your word and try to realize it and how to apply in our personal life and how we can help to our society.
Okay, yes.
But we have to take it very seriously, not like just reading, okay, class is finished, okay, that's enough. No, we have to realize it. I'm just hearing from you and trying to understand it.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj speaking. So I was thinking about this that you were saying, that the souls in the spiritual world don't want to take birth here in earth. Because we have the example of Srila Prabhupada that he said also that he didn't want to come here. So Krishna told him, you need to go there. I don't want, you need to go there. So Prabhupada came here because this was the desire of Krishna. So I was thinking in this, that they don't want to come here because this planet is full of misery and it's very difficult to have good association here because the people are so degraded. But if Krishna wants, they come here to preach, so they do that, to please Krishna. But they don't want to come here.
The great souls don't want to come here.
They do if Krishna wants, but not for his own desire. Because they want to preach, to help other souls to come back to God. But they don't need to come back here. They are good there with Krishna.
Okay, good. Anyway, great souls, they travel everywhere. They go everywhere. They don't see any difference between heaven and hell. The great souls, right? And there's the verse. Narayana parasarve na kutaschinya vibyate swarga apavarga narakesh vapitu yata darshana. That those devotees who are fixed in Lord Narayan, they don't make any distinction between heaven and hell and liberation. They see everywhere the same. So for them, they don't think, oh, this is heaven, oh, this is hell. They don't think like that. They see everywhere the same. They see everywhere God. They see Krishna everywhere, Krishna's energy. So they don't make distinction. They're not seeing dualities. You know, we see dualities, we make distinction. I like this, I don't like that. Oh, this is a good place, oh, that's a bad place. We're thinking like that on the mind, the platform of the mind. But the great souls, they don't think like that. They don't see any distinction between one place and another. Wherever they go, they see the opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. So everyone, we all have an opportunity to preach Krishna consciousness. Wherever we've taken our birth, whatever place we're in, it's an opportunity for all of us to engage in Krishna's service. We have to take that opportunity very seriously, take it to heart, and engage in Krishna's service. So on this auspicious day, the appearance day of Lord Nityananda, we're praying to Lord Nityananda. We can follow in his footsteps and be a humble servant. Lord Nityananda got told by Lord Chaitanya to go everywhere, preach Krishna consciousness. So Lord Nityananda went everywhere. He went to Jagai and Madhai. He didn't care. He went everywhere. So that is the mood of the great devotees. They have that consciousness. They'll go everywhere for preaching. Okay, so Maharaj Nimi, he didn't want to go everywhere. I mean, he just wanted to go back to Godhead. He didn't want a material body. He thought after Vishista had cursed him to fall down, he thought, why should I take another body? If I take another body, I may get cursed again. I have to fall down again. It's already so much trouble. Why should I bother? So he didn't want to come back again. He thought, no way. Forget it. He thought, I'm not coming back again. He already cursed me to die one day. He could do the same again. I come back again, he cursed me again. Why should I come back? No, he just wanted to go to the spiritual world. So Maharaj Nimi gave up the body. But of course the sages, they took advantage of his body. And from his body they were able to churn Janaka Maharaj. And with Janaka Maharaj, then they started another line. More kings, descendants and descendants. The kings, the leaders, very important. We have to have people to follow. We have to have examples. So our Krishna consciousness movement is meant for that. We're meant to create people, leaders who can show a good standard to others and to inspire other people to come to that standard. Very important. So this is the last king from the sun god. So the next chapter we're going to hear about the kings from the moon god. Alright, so I'm going to stop here tonight. If there are no more questions, we finish the chapter. Prabhu?
Maharaj?
Yes?
Just wondering, how did he leave his body? Name's escaping now.
Who?
Give me a second, Maharaj. I'm just going to look up the name. So we heard of Maharaj Nimi getting cursed, and then Vasishtha also gave up his body. Now,
Yeah.
how did he give up his body?
Who? Vasishtha. Well, he got cursed, so that was it. He was cursed to fall, meaning to die. Cursed to fall. Just meant to give up you're going to give up the body. Have to leave the body. If the body is going to fall, it's a dead body. That was a curse.
Okay, the curse was also to deprive him of the body, not just kind of fall down from his position as a Brahmana.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we're also hearing in text 11 that the demigods, they kind of give a spiritual body, so he can become a personal associate of the Lord, and then he can kind of manifest and be unmanifest at will. So are demigods capable of giving a spiritual body?
Well, Maharaj Nimi was qualified. It's not that the demigods gave the spiritual body, but Maharaj Nimi was qualified to get a spiritual body. Yeah, the demigods, they cannot themselves give a spiritual body to anyone. They don't have spiritual bodies. So they cannot give a spiritual body to somebody else. They don't have one themselves. But Maharaj Nimi, he was qualified. So one important point from this chapter also, we see the nature of Vasishta, that although he's a great soul, a great Brahmana, very prominent in Ramayana and so on, but still he was attached to material opulence. He was attached to going to heaven and getting, the rewards there in heaven from Indra. And then when he came back and saw that Maharaj Nimi had done the yagya with somebody else, then he got angry and he cursed Nimi. So you see some of the qualities there which are there in the heavenly planets among higher people there. That even people like Vasishta and so on, they get angry easily and they curse. And they have attachments they want to, they're interested, they get material rewards for their services. So these kind of things are there in the heavenly planets. That's brought out in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Gopkumar's traveling there, and he came to the heavenly planets, but he saw there's these kind of problems there in the heavenly planets. Sometimes the demigods get lusty, and sometimes they argue with each other, and they get angry and so on. So he wasn't happy to stay there. He wanted to move on from the heavenly planets. And so the same way we can see from Vasishta, it's not a very ideal place to go to the heavenly planet. Although they have a long life, although they have opulence and they have powers, but still, there are problems. It's in the material realm. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartano arjuna. From the highest planet down to the lowest. All are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. So we shouldn't be attracted to the heavenly planets. We should be thinking just to go beyond, to go out from this material creation and to enter into the spiritual world. So we're trying to fix our minds in that kind of manner that we can get out of this material existence. Make this human life successful. Right? What is the most important verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu, what's the most important verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Oh, Gadadhar Prana Mataji?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, I think about Sarva Dharmantarityaja.
No.
Mami.
It's not the most important verse.
Manmana Bhavan Bhakta?
No.
18.66, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me, I shall absolve you of all sinful reactions.
No, it's not the most important verse.
Maharaj, tatha dhyantar praptir dirastatra namujjati. Dhyantar, every moment we are changing our body. But those who are intelligent they understand the three modes of matter and nature, and they utilize this human form of life in performing devotional activities. Because every moment we are changing our body, and those who are spiritual advanced, so they can understand the three modes of matter and nature, and they utilize it every moment. They do not waste it.
Yeah, but it's not the most important verse in the Bhagavad Gita.
So at the last verse, the 18.66.
No.
Kindly could you tell us, please?
Yeah, the most important verse is Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vedi takvadaha takvadiham punarjanma naiti mamiti so Arjuna. That if you can understand the birth and the activities of Lord Krishna to be transcendental, then upon giving up this body, you never have to take birth again. So Prabhupada told Brahmananda like that. I heard from Brahmananda. He told us the most important verse is this verse in the 4th chapter. I think it's 4:9, is it? And then, why is it most important? Because when you give up the body, you never come back again. When Lord Chaitanya was discussing with Ramananda Rai about verses from the scriptures, Ramananda Rai, at one point he quoted Sarva Dharmam Parikrishna. Lord Chaitanya said, no, go higher. He didn't accept it. He said, because people have different motivations why they're going to surrender. People come and surrender, but they have their motivations. Oh, they want something. They want to get something from Krishna. It's not pure devotion. So just giving up your duties, yeah, people like to give up their duties. They like to come and do nothing, take shelter of Krishna, and do nothing. That's not good. Anyway, we have to understand the birth and the activity, the janma and the karma of Krishna, how they're all divyam, transcendental. Then you can give up the body, you never have to take birth again. So that's the key verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Any other questions, comments? Okay, then we'll see you tomorrow night. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki.